Alright, what's up guys? We're here today with Kicker's vlog. We're going to be doing a video. We're going to be talking about conservation and why people out there are hunting, and we're just going to dive into it real quick. So, what is one reason that you hunt?
One reason why I hunt is actually to provide my family with healthy, untouched by man meat, to be able to, eat as healthy as we can and be able to know exactly where our food is coming from.
Yeah, what takes part in that hunting ways to provide for your family, meat, all that? What amount of work goes into that?
I mean, it's an unbelievable amount of work. It's an all year long thing that you're practicing to be able to have the ability to have a clean kill, clean shot, taking a humane way of harvesting an animal, practicing, getting the correct gear, and always scouting and finding the right animal that's going to be suitable for you and your family, and honestly just creating those memories with family members. Like my wife and I, we go out and just go scout, hike around, and go hunting together. And those memories are priceless. And being able to create memories while we're basically gathering food for ourselves. I mean, it's an incredible amount of work to be able to know where to go, and lots of money goes into it. I mean, I'm a few $1,000s in this year just for a single elk.
Yeah.
Be able to, have that couple 100 pounds of meat in the freezer. And it's an incredible amount of work that goes into it each and every year. Work and money and time, and it's a full-time job.
Yeah, I don't think people realize when we say the time and the money that goes into hunting is also repaying back for all the adventures in life. For people to go out there and look at these animals that are against hunting, we are supporting that so that they can go out there and look at these animals, watch these animals. And I think we take a lot of part in conservation, so to say, that us as hunters are out there taking a certain amount of numbers out of that pack, or that whatever it is, we're taking that amount of animals out of it, and so that it stays base to base and that people can go out there and watch those animals. So I think that's a huge part in why I hunt and why many others hunt. So
yeah, and I totally vouch for that one. I mean, like, for instance, if you look at like the turkey population back in the day here in Utah, it was diminishing. There was not turkeys just roaming around everywhere. And with the conservation, like the way that they have the numbers set up, they have the biologists that go out and study these animals and figure out what would be best to be able to harvest a certain amount of what species. And I mean, nowadays there are just unbelievable amount of turkeys. Like, that's just one kind of example. I mean, same goes for elk and deer, and even the predators, bear and coyotes.
We went. We got back from an Idaho bear hunt this year, and we harvested one. And what was crazy is that up there, the biologist was telling us in Idaho that they sit around the cows and just pick off the calves. And so I think from us taking that bear and harvesting it, making meat, just doing all that, the process of hunting is helping our cow herd up there in Idaho, and so that people can go out and hunt elk and all that. So I think that's another huge problem is predators. Yeah, a lot of people take on us, why are you hunting bears? When I posted a picture of my brother killing that bear, I got a lot of feedback. Why are you killing such a good animal, a bear? And I said, the one thing that popped into my mind straight off the bat was, if you guys want to look at these elk and watch these elk, and even for hunters, if you guys want to hunt these elk, I think one of the biggest things that we need to do is take part in that conservation and that hunting, and we need to focus on getting that bear, whatever, taken down into not quite extinct, but we need to keep it at the correct numbers so that we're not over killing animals and stuff. And I think the biologists have a huge part in this, as we also speak. We're not the biologists here as hunters. We are just here to listen to what the biologists are saying, and they're giving us this amount of tags for this amount of people, this amount of units, and they're really dividing it into that we need to go out, kill this many animals so that these herds are still perfect and running well. And I think if we also look at how many hunters actually do succeed in their hunting and kill an animal every year, I think that's a huge number that decreases also. To be honest, I didn't kill last year on my deer hunt. My dad didn't kill on his elk hunt. It's just a different type of hunting, but I think if we look at it that way, is that everybody that's getting tags, those 500,000 tags or something like that, all of those people aren't just killing an animal. So if they took that into perspective and said, well, only maybe 1/3 of them is killing an animal, then that's keeping our herds down but not extincting our herds. We're not close to extinction on elk or anything like that, but I'm just saying if that was a perspective here, that they would take that in. So I think it's a huge part that we take part in. But
yeah, for sure. Back to the bear hunting and stuff. Like if we didn't hunt bear, if no one killed a bear, who and what's going to kill a bear? It's basically just
exactly.
They're going to be dying of old age, but by the time they get to that old age, they're going to be multiplying, so many more times than what any other herd could handle. The elk would start to diminish, the deer, even other predators, because now there's not as many elk, and the bears are kind of ones that are a little stronger than like a coyote or anything like that, and it just kind of messes up the whole animal kingdom when one species starts to take over, whether it's a predator or whether it's just a deer or an elk. You're going to be in the cities, you're going to have them dying on the road, killing people, and just you're not going to have a healthy population. There's definitely that healthy ratio between which animals with what, and even male to female. That's why they take into account the numbers of buck deer tags versus doe tags, or cows versus bull elk. It's not just all right, let's go kill 10,000 bull elk and 20,000 cows or anything like that. They take in the number, they give out the certain amount of tags like you were saying, and not everyone succeeds in their hunt. I've hunted elk for the last 5 years and still haven't even shot an elk, and that money that I've spent on those tags and my hunting license and everything, that's going straight back to the animals. That's going back to conservation. The biologists are able to study more and do more studies with the animals and learning what we need to do better as a human race to control the animals in a healthy population. And I think it's just such a great thing that we have here in America with the hunting world, how they control it and things. Yeah, there's going to be those people that are out there just thirsty to kill an animal, and they're just going to go out and poach, and that's illegal. And a lot of people have that view on us hunters, that we're just out there to kill. We're out there to just take lives, and we think that there's no repercussion for this. I highly respect every animal that I've taken. There's times in my life, and I was a lot younger, and go out and just blast a bunch of rabbits, but I mean, that's still, helping out. I mean, one dead rabbit's going to feed a coyote there. I mean, very rarely would you shoot a rabbit and it's not going to get eaten. But, I mean, it's all about the conservation and controlling the animal herds, controlling the numbers, and allowing them to intermingle healthy together with the correct amount of numbers and things.
Yeah, and I think if we look at a good example is Yellowstone, where they reintroduced the wolves, and now the elk herd population is going down, and because they're not letting you kill these wolves. Well, they now are, but before, when those wolves were taking over, your elk herds were down, and for most people, that's a tourist place where you go to see animals, you go to see the elk, you go to see the deer, the buffalo. I think if you take in that part of things and say those wolves, like you said, you brought up a good point. Nothing's gonna take those high-end animals or predators out except for maybe old age. And so if we look at it like that, it takes, I don't know how long the wolf lives, but it takes that many years to kill that wolf. That is that many years that it can reproduce and create more wolves. And with more wolves, then we're taking out the elk population. And I think we take a big chunk of participation in that. And if we gave out 20 tags, 30 tags, and not wiped out, but cleaned out some of those wolves, it would really help. And that's what they've started to do with the biologists studying it and all that. So I think we take a huge part in it, but also we gotta look at the biologists that are helping us out on the other side too. Real quick question. You brought up that hunting is not just going out there killing animals and doing all of that, but it's helping conservationists. We are, as hunters, conservationists, and I think if I asked you this question as an anti-hunter or someone that didn't hunt, your answer would be the same. But why? What is your thoughts about conservation, and why is hunting conservation?
So what I kind of feel with conservation is, like supporting the biologists to study, supporting the animals, and basically putting in a lot of money and hard work into the process of conserving these animals into healthy populations. Like I kind of mentioned earlier with the money, each tag that someone buys, or each hunting license or fishing license or anything like that with the outdoors, that money's going back into the animals and their habitat. They're able to create water holes and troughs for these animals to have water in places that are hot and may not get as much rain naturally, and these animals are able to flourish and replenish themselves with that. But then also, like the programs like a dedicated hunter program, like we ourselves are going out there, giving our time to do that community service out in the wild, like building these troughs, building these things and fences, and keeping deer and elk off the roadways to help numbers keep up that way, keep people safe. There's so much time and money and effort that hunters do and show in respect of these animals. I mean, I feel like I have just so much respect for the animals that I hunt, to the point where I'm willing to go out and help more and more of these animals survive through hard winters or even hard summers, to allow them to replenish themselves, but then also be there to help them when the herds are too big, take one, use that meat for food for the next so many months. And I just feel like each hunter has and plays a huge part in the conservation with the wildlife. I mean, there's millions and millions of dollars that's going into conservation each and every year just by hunters. And a lot of times, I mean, it's like some buddies that I know that don't hunt, like, you know, they're all for saving the animals, and I'm, you know, not against that at all. Like, you know, trying our best to help these herds stay healthy. But I don't see them, you know, giving their time and money to help a herd grow, or to help, you know, conserve these animals and give them water and food and places where they can stay. I mean, we're all about keeping the public lands and conserving that to where we can all enjoy them. I just feel like hunters should play a really big part in keeping basically the old time still alive, and allowing these animals to replenish themselves a lot more than that they'd be able to by themselves if we didn't play any part in it.
Exactly, and we were talking to Kip the other day, Kip Fowler, on a Hunting Hero video, and he said the thing that I look at in conservation, we didn't put it in the video, but he said the thing that I see in hunters and conservationists is that the hunters, the second you take an animal, you respect that animal and the outdoors 1,000 times more than if you were just to go out there, watch these animals. I think the number one thing why I hunt, I'm not going to say it's because I'm a conservationist. I'm not going to say it's because conservation. The number one reason why I hunt is the memories, probably. The memories spending with my family, my dad, all that stuff. And then the second thing is conservation. Whenever you kill an animal, you're taking that animal's life. You're taking it out of this world. And I think if we look at it that way, you're going to respect that animal so much more, and the second you respect that animal more, you're going to want to start giving more money, more time into companies like Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation or Mule Deer Foundation, or all these different little things. You're going to want to put more time and more money into those, because you have seen how hard it is for them out there. But also I think if we look at it on a different point of view, as an anti-hunter, you're going out there. The reason why, this is just like a little sidetrack, the reason why I started creating videos is because I really want to make people that don't hunt start hunting, or I want to look at anti-hunters and I want to show them content that we're not just going out there one day out of our lives, driving down a road and then not doing anything, just shooting an animal, pulling it up, cleaning it, call it good. We're out there. This year so far I haven't been out that much, but I've been out probably 4 times already, just glassing, setting trail cameras. I think the dedication that goes into hunting, say, high country mule deer, is a whole different level of time and money. And I think if, like I said, we look at it as an anti-hunter, they see us just going out there, killing an animal. And I think one of the main reasons I'm starting this new project called Both Sides is because I want to see why they think that, and then I want to prove to them that we aren't just out there one day out of our lives shooting an animal, cleaning it, bringing it home, and food's on the table. It doesn't happen like that. There's more. There's probably, I don't know, probably 20-25 days just that you spend on just a simple deer hunt out there. Last year my dad had an elk tag here in Utah, and it was pretty crazy to see how everything went down. We spent about 2 weeks before the hunt, just preparing, setting trail cameras, checking trail cameras, glassing, all the preparation that you need. We were doing that. We never really targeted a single bull. Down there it was really hard to kind of pattern them. You couldn't really pattern them, and so it was really hard. And so every day we'd wake up, we spent the whole month of the archery hunt down there, and we ended up not bringing home an elk. And for me to hunt those animals like that, like hunt them that hard, we were out there chasing bugles all day, calling them in, and for me to learn, that was probably one of the craziest hunts I've been on, even that we didn't kill, because I got to learn the ways of the elk. I got to respect, even though that we didn't kill the animal, I got to respect them more because of how much they know, and how much they're just a crazy animal, and they're so smart. So it just made me respect that animal more. And so I think if we go out there looking at it that way, it's gonna pay off a lot more. Back to what Kip said, he also said in that video that determination is the number one thing that you're gonna want in life, not just in hunting. But he said when his first mule deer that he hunted, or it was one of the mule deer that he hunted, he missed. And he said, if it wasn't for me going back in, I would have never killed that buck. And so I think us as hunters and us as conservationists just need to keep with that determination to tackle down and help this animal kingdom, and help it grow and process right, and just so that everything's in sync and in flow. You brought up a public land situation. I think if we look at the public lands, national parks, national forests, if we look at Yellowstone, like I brought up earlier, you can't do any hunting in those areas. So those animals are going to keep building and building and building until we get a sudden place of too much animals, and then we can't really feed them, we can't keep up with them. And so I think we take a huge part in that as hunters, and I think the public lands are amazing the way that they are. I don't think we need to change anything about them. They're amazing the way that they are. So that was a good point that you brought up that I just wanted to cover a little bit more on, but that's all that I had to say on the public land situation. So if you were to describe why, so I've already asked you why you hunt. If you could describe in a couple words what you feel while you're hunting, whether that be anger or frustration, or you're happy to be out there, whatever it may be, if you could describe that in a couple words so that we can, our main goal with this project is to get out what we feel, what we do, and just really hit people strongly with what our perspective as hunters is on these animals. And so if you could describe that in a couple words or a couple sentences, that would be great.
Yeah, when you first asked me, the first thing that came to my mind is just like peace. It's just so peaceful out there. You're out there in the elements with these animals, and I mean, it's a calm morning or a calm evening, and maybe Mother Nature's howling at you and it's horrible weather. It's a peaceful feeling to be out there. And then also, while I'm out there, I mean, it's a roller coaster of emotions, whether it's positives or negatives. If you put in all this time and hard work and it doesn't work out, and all of a sudden you're frustrated. But back to what you were saying about the determination that us hunters have, like, you don't let it get you down. You push as hard as you can and just work your butt off to the point where basically you're working so hard that you get to the point where you can't work anymore. And so it's, the biggest thing for me is like just the peacefulness of being out in the hills, and you're just grounded with, like who you are. You have to, like, you have so much time to think about just life in itself and what you're doing out there and why you're doing it. And I don't know, it's just kind of, for me, peaceful and a roller coaster of emotions once, you get in on a situation and it doesn't work out, or when it does work out, it's just 100% respect towards that animal and to the land and basically just Mother Nature. It's when everything comes together to the point where you are able to harvest an animal, it's just a feeling that honestly I can't really even explain, because it's so amazing to just have that opportunity, and so much respect and love to those animals for their sacrifice of keeping my family alive and being able to provide for ourselves.
Yeah, and a question I get asked a lot is, I brought it up in a film with Brian Call. Well, he brought it up and said it is a spiritual feeling while you're out there. Like you said, it's peaceful. A question I get asked a lot is, if it's so peaceful, how is taking an animal peaceful? That's a question I get asked a bunch. And so if you could dig deep into that, really, really understand that question, could you explain to my followers, anybody out there, could you explain what your answer would be to that question?
My answer to that question, because I get asked that a lot all the time. Like, well, if you're enjoying the outdoors and watching, these animals, why the heck would you take if one's live?
Exactly.
But most of the time, it's like an indescribable feeling, just like what you were saying, what Brian Collett said. Like, it's such a spiritual experience. And I mean, watching those animals and being in the pursuit of trying to outsmart something that is a million times smarter than you are, in their own home, in their own forest, and it's their territory. It's different than just hiking around and seeing animals when like I said, when you're in pursuit of providing for your family or whatever. But I just feel like I have a hard time explaining it. It's just like leaves me speechless. Whenever I've harvested an animal, I appreciate the outdoors so much more. I have that spiritual experience, and it just basically, the outdoors is giving to you, one of its best prizes. It is allowing you the best thing that it can possibly give. It's just like anyone giving you something. It makes you just feel so good inside. And I know it, that sounds horrible to say, like taking something's life makes you feel good inside, but you harvest that deer, you walk up to it, and basically I sit there and I thank the animal. I'm just like, thank you so much. Like, this is incredible. And then, there's times where if you don't practice enough, or maybe, a situation's wrong and an animal, you don't have a good ethical shot, and things happen. Like, when that happens for me, like, I just dread that. I do not enjoy seeing an animal suffer. And if you take an ethical shot, that animal's not going to suffer at all. They've expired in a matter of seconds, and that's one of my biggest goals, is all year long is just practice to the point where I can show that animal my highest respect in harvesting him, that I'm not allowing him to suffer in any way, but I'm still able to have him provide for my family, to have that meat. So the feeling that, sorry, I was kind of getting off topic, but the feeling that I get is basically just indescribable. It's something that you can't really describe to someone that has never experienced that. And I've been in situations where someone has experienced that for their first time, and like they finally get it. Like it clicks. It's hard. Like my wife was with me on my last hunt. She was there. It clicked for her, but at the same time, it's still hard. Like seeing something that loses its life for you, it's like your best friend jumping in front of a bullet for you. Like he's giving your life for you, his life for you. And I just think it's amazing that we have that opportunity, and Mother Nature's basically nice enough to allow us to be a part of such a big opportunity in, conserving these animals and basically being the kings over them, and making sure that they're healthy. Kind of my thought process on that. It's kind of all over the place, but
yeah, you're good. If I get asked another huge question, and you brought it up with making an ethical shot and all that. A question that I get asked a bunch by hunters, by anti-hunters, is that if you take a shot, hit the animal, draw blood, but never find that animal, do you eat your tag or do you keep hunting? And I think for me, I'm going to answer this really quick to let everyone know. I think last year I did this actually, and I never found the animal, but we lost blood trail, and so I think those animals rebuild it really quick. They're just a really healthy animal that is processing good, and so I kept hunting with that being said, because I knew the animal was okay. I knew I didn't kill him. He bled for a little bit, but then he scarred up and it was good. If that were to happen to you, what would be your take on that? Saying what I said, what would be your take with that?
Yeah, I mean, I get that as well. And one example back, so I basically only archery hunt, and back probably 6-7 years ago, that happened to me. I shot at a buck and hit him in the shoulder blade, and it didn't kill him or anything. He ran. I had a small, tiny blood trail, and I wasn't able to recover him, wasn't able to find him. I knew that he was still good, he was still running, and my take on it is I tried my best to find him and to harvest him. I didn't, put my attention to anything else. I made the goal to just continue to hunt that specific animal because, just out of respect. And I actually ended up finding this buck about 3 weeks later at the very end of the hunt. And he was totally fine. He just had, I could see a little scab on his shoulder, but nothing was wrong with him. He wasn't even limping. He was able to, run off, and I wasn't able to harvest him. I wasn't able to harvest any deer that year. But I think if you put in the work and the effort to continue to get that animal, or to make sure, weeks later that they're okay, and these animals are so tough. A little arrow or a bullet may not kill them if it's not placed right. Yeah, it's going to sting a little bit, but they're so tough, and they're going to get over it. They get in harder, injuries with fighting other bucks or bulls. Like they go through a lot harder of a life, outside of being injured by a shot. But other than that, I haven't really had any other experiences with injuring an animal. I've kind of set the goal since I had that happen to practice more and to have no problem taking a shot, and to really understand the situation during hunt. If the animal's alert, I'm not going to take a long shot. If the animal has no idea I'm there and there's good wind, I'll take a further shot and take that opportunity. And so far, so good. I've had these animals and have taken these shots that they haven't lasted more than maybe 15, 20 seconds before they, fall over. I always have seen my bucks tip over and expire. And I think that's a big thing for me is I want to be my best, know where my arrow's going to go. I'll shoot out at 150 yards to practice for a 50-yard shot because I know if I can make that, then I can for sure make a perfect ethical shot every single time. And that's just kind of my thought process on that, is just giving that high respect to these animals as much as you can.
Yeah, with all this being said, all that we've talked about so far, the thing that we're going to close with is what you do to prepare, or what you do, just break down some simple things that you've done so far to prepare, and some things that you do that you've done in the past to prepare for an elk hunt, a deer hunt. Just describe to these fans that either anti-hunters or hunters, describe to them what work you've put in so far this year into hunting your elk.
Yeah, this year I have been out basically every weekend since probably about May. So, been out probably 8 to 10 times. And in those times of going out to the mountains, I'm setting up trail cameras, studying these animals, knowing what animal is going to be at the top of my list to harvest, that one that lived a good life, and one that's going to be a good one to take. I've spent time out there, bringing in these animals with a little bit of, I don't want to say like bait, but food. I put a lot of grain out in random places to just have some good traffic going through. And I mean, I set up tree stands, which takes hours and hours to go do. I spend time at the store buying all these gear products and spending time shooting my bow probably like 4 to 5 times a week. You can ask my wife on that one. She asks me to not shoot my bow so much because I'm always out there practicing, trying to be my best. And basically, I dedicate as much time as I possibly can to give that animal the best chance without suffering, and give my family the best chance to have that quality meat, have that quality food on the table each and every day. And I mean, I work a full-time job, but I hunt and, prepare for the hunt probably twice as much than I do a, 8-to-5 job. It's unbelievable how much time and money goes into my one hunt. I mean, this year I didn't draw any tags. All I have is the over-the-counter elk tag, and it's incredible to know how much time it actually takes. I spent a lot of time glassing. I just went out Saturday, glassed for a few hours with one of my buddies, found a few elk, kind of know a good spot where we could have a good chance at coming in close to one of these animals, and basically learning their patterns, learning how they react to different situations, learning the elements, learning the rain, learning the wind. It all comes into factor when you are out hunting. I mean, you have to literally think one with nature and think one with these animals and just do your absolute best. And so that's kind of what I do to prepare, is just work my butt off to the point where I know without a doubt that I have done my best to be my best during the hunt, and have those chances be as high as possible for myself. But it doesn't always work out, no matter how much time you put in. And even when you put in that much time and if you have, so to say, a fail, it's never an actual failed hunt. You always succeed in something. You always succeed in learning something new, learning these animals, and then being able to, teach people that teach the anti-hunters, why and what is so important about hunting. And I have nothing against anti-hunters. I have nothing against anyone that disagrees with it. I seek to understand, just like your whole project you're doing here. It's just a project of seeking to understand the other side. So I, really looked up to this project that you got going on with both sides. I think it's really important for both sides to seek to understand the others and just respect that. I mean, you can believe what you want to believe, you can do what you want to do, but to always just show respect to one another, I mean, is super important to me.
Yeah, thank you so much. Any questions for me or any other thoughts that you have before we close this?
Yeah, so I just wanted to ask, with starting this project, wanted to see kind of your thoughts, why you were wanting to understand both sides and see the differences between anti-hunters versus, pro hunters. Just kind of wanted to see where you were going to take the project and understand a little bit more about your thoughts on that.
Yeah, so I think I'm really I respect those anti-hunters. Don't get me wrong. I respect their point of view. You can believe what you want to believe, like you said. But me as a person, I don't understand that well why. For me, it's been a part of my life, my whole life, and so I don't know why. Maybe for them it just hasn't been, but it's all in our ancestry. So a huge thing that I'm looking at to get out of this project is not just for other people, but for me to understand the anti-hunter side. I want other people, like hunters like me and you, to understand why they don't like hunting, and some of us may understand already, but I want to get it from them. I want to put out content from them describing why they don't like hunting, or why they just disagree with hunting. And so I think I want to hear from them personally. I don't want to read articles. I don't want to do that. I don't want to hear it through the grapevine. I want to hear it from those anti-hunters personally, and get to understand their point of view. That is my main goal, is I want to understand their point of view on hunting. And I think the other side, that's the anti-hunters side. I think the other side is getting anti-hunters to see how much work we put into hunting. We put in tons of time and tons of money, and I get that they've probably heard it through the grapevine also. They've probably heard, they've probably read stuff. They've probably done all this. They've done research, so to say. But I want to get it mainly across content and create a content project, so to say, that I'm starting. So I think the project base goal that I want to get out of this is to have both sides, the anti-hunting side and the hunter side, to just see eye to eye. Lately, like I said, I killed that bear. I got tons of negativity. I want to change that. I don't want the negativity in people's Instagram posts. I see it everywhere on Instagram, the negativity, the jealousy. I think one of the main goals just around my whole YouTube is to change that. To change the way that people are looking at other people. Even with us hunters, we do a lot of it. We do a lot of jealousy. We say, oh dang, that guy killed that big buck, must have lucked out. So then we comment something that's not positive. And all around with the YouTube, I want to change that. I want to make sure that he put in tons of time to that animal. He hiked a lot. He put a lot of money into that. I want to respect that. And so I think with starting this project, it's just part of my YouTube, that my outcome goal is just to see both of those perspectives hunters and anti-hunters, and I just want to have them see eye to eye. I'm just really sick of negativity, either that coming from hunters or anti-hunters, or just anybody in the world. I'm just really devastated that it's at this big of a stage that where negativity is taking people to take their own lives. And sorry to make that, like, change this into that, but I just feel like that we as hunters can really help change that. And my YouTube, that's our main goal with the YouTube. And so the Both Sides project is really gonna, I hope, we have some super huge things planned for it, but I hope it's really gonna get across to both sides the true meaning why we hunt, and then the true meaning why they don't hunt. So that's my main goal with it. We're just gonna, this is kind of more jumping into it. We had tons of planning. We've been planning this project for about 8 months now before we've actually started to talk with people, sit down with people. And so we're jumping into this project hoping that we can come out with a goal and come out with that achievement of having both sides seeing eye to eye. And so that's my main goal with it, and we hope it goes that way. So that's pretty much my goal, so to say.
Yeah, that's awesome. I support that 100%. I'm totally with you on that. I personally would love to learn, the side of the anti-hunters. It's something that I don't fully understand, and I know they don't fully understand us a lot of the times. And I think it'd be super awesome to be able to learn more about why they don't hunt, and then have them learn why we do hunt. I think it's awesome what you're doing. I support it 100% for sure.
Sweet, thank you so much. Alright guys, this is our first video jumping into this project, Both Sides. I just explained it a little bit, but I'm going to explain it more to you guys. We're jumping into this project wanting to target hunters and anti-hunters. We're pretty much jumping into it, and we're going to target these hunters and anti-hunters to see eye to eye, like I said. And so this is our first podcast / video that we're going to be doing. I'm going to be doing tons of these with hunters, biologists, just tons of people. We're going to be doing a conservation film. We're going to be doing tons of stuff. We're hoping to team up with Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, Mule Deer Foundation, just all these. We're hoping to make this a huge project. So if you guys could help me out, find hunters that want to describe why they hunt to me, or anti-hunters that want to describe why they hunt also, or why they don't hunt. So that's what I'm looking for in this project. We want to make that goal. We want to get both sides to see eye to eye. So yeah, we're gonna jump into it. This is our first video / podcast, like I said. So stay tuned for more. Thanks for watching.